So I was reading the comments and come to find out that a lot of y'all actually don't know who this is. This is Yoon. And Yoon is literally the most powerful earthbender ever. Just ever. Like more powerful than Toph, more powerful than Boomy. Literally the most powerful earthbender ever that's not an avatar. And y'all know I'd be extremely biased towards Toph. But Yoon got it. Yoon got it. Just so people know, this is Yoon, the most powerful earthbender ever. Just ever. There's no debate about it. Other than the avatars, he's the most powerful earthbender ever. He will treat your favorite earthbender like this.
Better scramble like an egg before you get folded like an omelet, nigga. Jaeger.
And I'm going to start from the very beginning of his upbringing. Because he wasn't always like this. And all this information can be found in the Rise of Kyoshi and the Shadow of Kyoshi books. Which I realize most people actually recognize him a little bit simply because they know that he has some connection towards Kyoshi whatsoever. But I'm going to fill you in on everything. But let's get back to Yoon and his backstory. His family background is kind of vague, anime style. He refused to really talk about it. But he grew up on the streets. He wasn't that type of street kid. What he actually was more of this.
Street rat. I don't buy that.
He was more of a humble, dominant, and rough type of street kid. So during Yoon and Kyoshi's time period, the Avatar haven't been announced yet. AKA, nobody knew who the next Avatar was after Karuk. So the search was still going on. So at the age of 14, Yoon was playing Paisho, beating every single tourist that came into his village. And he was just dominating. For those that don't know what Paisho is, it's very similar to Chinese checkers. And it's the game that Uncle Iroh loves so much. And at the same time, it's an incredibly strategic game. And Yoon was beating every tourist that came into the village. That's until Yoon got scouted by two men, Jinju and Kelsung. But the reason that Yoon was beating everybody in Paisho was because he was literally using the same exact strategy, tile placement, as Avatar Karuk. Jinju was very doubtful that Yoon could possibly be the Avatar based strictly off his Paisho skills. And granted, that's fair to believe. I'm not going to pick a dude based off his Chinese checker skills. That's like getting drafted in the NBA because you're a good DJ. That don't make sense. So they decided to test him the best way they know how, is to check out his earthbending skills. So after they test out Yoon's earthbending ability and how much precision that he has, Jinju and Kelsung was absolutely impressed. For those who don't know who Kelsung is, he was Avatar Karuk's airbending teacher and also best friend. So if anybody know the reincarnation of Avatar Karuk, they will take advice from him. And after seeing Yoon's earthbending ability, Jinju and Kelsung was just sitting back like,
That boy is good.
So just to be safe, because Yoon was extremely talented, he's like, you know what? Let's take this boy under our wing. So at the age of 14, this humble street kid, seemingly to be a prodigy at earthbending, starts his journey to be the next Avatar. Like, what could go wrong? Yep. So Yoon started his extremely rigorous, tiresome, extremely painful training regimen assigned to him by Jinju, and in regards to meditation and so on. And then he trained under a master waterbender with the name Amak, who trained Yoon to be a killer in order to protect himself from spies and assassins. But the thing about Yoon's waterbending master Amak, he had, a couple screws loose. Because not only did he train Yoon to be an absolutely excellent killer, especially in combat, but also improved his immunity. And y'all probably like, immunity from what? Like, what do you mean?
Fat girl is
Yep, that's right. Master Amak deliberately poisoned his own student just so he can develop an immunity against it. So at this point, Yoon is an excellent earthbender, an excellent killer, and along with that, he's immune to most poisons. Like, what could go wrong? Yep. So Jinju and Kelsung, in between training sessions, they will take Yoon and fly around the world to meet some of the most important people of the four nations, turning Yoon into an absolutely incredible diplomat. And he was able to make decisions without bias. Yoon took Avatarhood incredibly serious and absolutely dedicated his life to it. So when I say that Yoon dedicated his life to being the Avatar, I mean he devoted everything he could. He gave 100% of his effort. He spent countless sleepless nights training to exhaustion, studying. Like for instance, he would study and analyze the decisions that Avatar Yang Chen used to make in her past so that he could be a better political diplomat. And his vast knowledge doesn't end there. You can ask him about the past or the present in regards to the four nations, and he will be able to tell you in extreme detail immediately. because he understood everything in regards to the history of the four nations, but at the same time, he understood the political state in which the four nations is currently in. And at this point, his hard work is paying off tremendously. Yoon was so good at earthbending, he was able to talk to people with his earthbending. Oh yeah, and over time, he developed seismic sense. Y'all should know what seismic sense is, right? And at this point in time, Yoon has developed a friendship with none other than Kiyoshi. Oh, wrong one. Hold up. There we go. This is the maid Kiyoshi, because she was a maid at this point. And Yoon was also friends with Rangi, who is an extremely elite firebender who was his bodyguard. And her mother was Yoon's teacher for firebending. But one time when he got caught goofing off between Rangi and Kiyoshi, Rangi's mother came, who is his firebending teacher, telling him to firebend. But he wasn't able to do it. He was only able to earthbend, making it look like he was firebending. But it was still earthbending nonetheless. And at this time, Yoon was dealing with multiple different political issues, such as writing treaties or giving the okay on which army could attack which other army. Yoon takes his avatar duties extremely serious. He just don't want to manipulate the people that he believes that he's supposed to protect. And Jinju, who was by his side thick and thin, has always supported his ideas. Like I said, Yoon was a great diplomat. But after that, back to Yoon's firebending training, where Yoon had to walk barefoot across an entire spiked floor to disconnect him from his native element. So after that entire intense training session, mind you, he went to Kiyoshi for first aid. And while she helped him out, he simply asked her, "Will you come with me to this treaty signing?" But not as a maid, bodyguard, or anything, but as a friend. And of course, he touched her cheek in classic anime fashion, and she started to blush. And then guess who walks in? Rangi, aka Yoon's bodyguard, came in and was like, "Yo, why isn't he cleaned up and ready to go yet?" And then Yoon and Kiyoshi was laughing with each other, joking, saying that they will burn the mansion down. And then all three of them bursted out in laughter.
Oh, what the fuck what did you just say?
But at this point, Yoon was well known across the world as an extremely intelligent earthbender, extremely powerful and skilled, immune to poison, deadly, extremely strategic, brilliant diplomat. What could go wrong? So fast forward to the treaty signing, where Yoon accompanied by Kiyoshi, Rangi, and Amak. But the thing is, Amak is disguised, aka just in case, stuff get a little out of hand. So Yoon arrived at the treaty sighting and he meets somebody named Takaka. But the thing is, Takaka was like, "Yo, I'm surprised I made it this far because I thought you would try to assassinate me before we even got to the treaty signing." And Yoon was like, "What? Like I would have somebody personally come assassinate you?" The meeting was going pretty good until Takaka basically accusing all of his masters of mass murder. Yeah, all of Yoon's masters. And Yoon was looking dumbfounded like, "What?" This is basically how the situation looked.
Look at it.
And she called out all of his masters, starting with Jinju, calling him the gravedigger because he buried 5,000 people alive. She said Rangi's mom had a lot of accidental kills and Agni Kai's, and that Kelsong violated his pacifist beliefs. But when Yoon heard that information, he played it off smoothly and was able to navigate the conversation right back to the treaty again. But that same night, he confronted his masters. And Jinju basically defended himself, saying like, "Hey, I did what I had to because Crook was dead for a while." And Kelsong also supported the claim, saying that these people was unjust that they had to take out, which honestly left Yoon kind of rattled. And Jinju got on him, saying like, "Yo, don't let her rattle you, or don't let her shift your judgment," and gave him confidence again and said, "You are the Avatar. Don't let someone sway your decisions like that with false accusations."
Accusations! These are not accusations. This is false accusations.
But Yoon was still upset about the countless lives that they took and he didn't know about. And him and Jinju continued to argue throughout the night. And then the very next day, as they continue on with the treaty, Yoon, he starts to proofread it and do his, typical procedure that he does in regards to treaty signings. But this time, his mind is still rattled. But the thing is, Yoon never had a situation like this where he had to question his masters like that. Especially someone like Jinju who took him off the streets. And that basically was like a father figure to him. And completely out of character of Yoon and based off of emotion, he tells Takaka, basically, "Yo, I want you to free the Earth Kingdom citizens that you have held captive." It didn't turn out well, I mean, it did not go well. And she immediately took out Amok because she saw through his disguise. And then immediately stuff stopped popping off. And then she started popping stuff off. And then Yoon literally told everybody step back. And he used the ink slab from the peace treaty to make a stone glove in order to catch her blade. And then he told Killsong, yo, do not help me. Go handle the ships that are out there right now before war even starts. But one of Tagaka's waterbenders damaged his glider. And that army managed to capture Yoon. For some of the people that also read some of the Kiyoshi novels and know about Yoon already and his entire backstory, y'all will also know that I am not going into full detail and I'm skipping, aka fast forwarding his story. And that's simply because I don't want to spoil it for the people that haven't read the novels. I want them to actually go out and read it because it could interest somebody. So chill out on the comments, all because I didn't mention one particular detail. It's not that serious. So back to the Yoon being captured situation because a treaty deal went wrong. So Kiyoshi pleaded with Takaka to set Yoon free. So she was being wildly disrespectful and say he's worth more as a hostage than an actual avatar. And Takaka pushed him to the side and Kiyoshi got so upset that she bended the sea floor underneath the naval fleet. And during the devastation, Rangi and her mom freed Yoon and Kelsong is like, maybe Kiyoshi's the avatar.
How the fuck you know this? How?
So after that powerful bending feat, Kiyoshi loses consciousness. And then she wakes up and then they update her and be like, yo, you might be the avatar. And then later on, as some time go by, Jinju starts thinking. He's like, which one of these teenagers is actually the avatar? Even though Yoon is incredibly skilled, a prodigy even, and on top of that, he is extremely intelligent and takes his avatar role extremely serious. But the sheer earthbending power that Kiyoshi was able to display simply cannot be ignored. And at the same time, we have yet to see Yoon bend any other element other than earth. And we have noticed that he's able to mimic earth in multiple different ways to simulate all the other elements, but it's still earth. The avatar should be able to bend other elements at this point already. So they tested Kiyoshi's firebending. She failed at that attempt as well. So she ran to the mansion because she possibly felt guilty about what she was doing to Yoon, stealing what was most important to him, avatarhood. But Yoon is a good guy and say it's not her fault. And even though Yoon was an extremely good guy, he reassured Kiyoshi of everything so she wouldn't feel guilty. But on the other hand, from the master's point of view, like Jinju, Kelsong, and them, if Yoon wasn't the avatar, that is a major problem. Because all the treaties he signed, all the peace agreements that he agreed to, all the political statements, and all that stuff that he said is null and void. AKA, it will cause chaos because Yoon wouldn't be the avatar. But in the meantime, Yoon kept keeping Kiyoshi's spirits up. He kept saying, yo, if you're proven to be the avatar, I have no problem with it. And he was also doing a little flirty, lovey-dovey stuff, basically trying to make her feel good the best way he can. And later on, that very afternoon, Jinju decided, hey Kiyoshi, hey Yoon, how about we go on a little trip? And Kiyoshi says, of course. And Yoon says, of course, because Jinju was like a father figure to him, took him off the streets, trained him to be the man that he is today. Like, what could go wrong? So as Jinju take them on this field trip, he doesn't let anybody else in the mansion know. Meanwhile, Yoon is thinking, okay, maybe he's going to try to make us trigger the avatar state, just so he could see which one of us could be the avatar. Yeah, sure.
Leave me alone!
So Jinju told them to get in the meditative stance. And of course he had an incense candle with him, and he wanted one of them to light it with firebending, but they just looked at each other, confused, and awkwardly because they know that they can't firebend yet, causing him to light it himself. And as they continued to meditate, Yoon was about to say something important to Kyoshi until, boom, surprise, surprise, they're both drugged. Yeah, thanks to the candle incense, because what they inhaled. And so Jinju summoned, guess who? Father freaking Glowworm, aka one of Karuk's most dangerous enemies. And Jinju was basically like, you fought my boy before, which one is the avatar? And Father Glowworm was like, yeah, she's the avatar. But I want y'all to remember old boy Amok, because he used to drug and poison Yoon during their training sessions so he can develop an immunity against it. So it didn't take long for him to regain mobility and to try to stop Father Glowworm from extracting blood from him and Kiyoshi. But it was already too late. Father Glowworm already took the blood. That's pure avatar right there. Kiyoshi, she's the Avatar. Which was a shock to Yoon because, like I told you before, he took his avatarhood very serious and truly believed that he was the Avatar. And all his masters believed that he was the Avatar as well and spoke life into him, which had Yoon in complete disbelief. So with Jinju hearing this news and being like a borderline father to Yoon and raising him, what do you think he did when he heard this news? A. Pull Yoon and Kiyoshi into safety and run off? Or B. Fight Father Glowworm so Avatar Kiyoshi and Yoon can escape? Or C. Attacking Father Glowworm, leaving Yoon to die while snatching up Kiyoshi like a bucket of fried chicken? So Jinju betrayed Yoon and also enraged Father Glowworm, aka yanking Yoon into the cave, leaving Yoon for dead, basically feeling like this.
I was the Dragon Warrior. You always knew. When Oogway said otherwise, what did you do?
I mean, it's safe to assume that Yoon is dead after getting pulled into the spirit world like that. I mean, like what could possibly happen while he's in the spirit world?
Leave me alone!
So when Yoon came to his senses in the spirit world and tried to talk it out with Father Glowworm, and because he was a very charismatic and very excellent diplomat, he thought he could just talk his way through it. But Father Glowworm was kind of on a different timing. So he humored Yoon for a brief moment, and they started to fight because he was trying to absorb Yoon and consume him, and Yoon was squaring up with him, holding him off. But the thing is, Yoon was such an incredibly skilled earthbender, he was handling Father Glowworm to the point where Father Glowworm was like, yo, chill. How about a truce? I give you a portion of my power, and you can leave to the mortal realm, and you bring me innocent people for me to feed on. And Yoon, desperate to get out, he agreed to the deal. But when Father Glowworm let that guard down, Yoon was like,
I'm about to end this man's whole career.
And Yoon hit him with the meanest. So he ate Father Glowworm's eye, basically absorbing his pure essence and gaining tremendous power from Father Glowworm, allowing him access to go to the mortal world. I mean, now that he's in the mortal world, I'm pretty sure he's still the same humble street kid that was looking for the good in everyone. I mean, it's not like eating incredible evil spirit's essence and gaining its powers would have any downside to it. It's definitely not like he would seek revenge on the only father figure that betrayed him and left him for dead. I know what some of y'all are probably confused on what is Yoon's abilities. Well, here I'm gonna fill you in the best way I can without really spoiling it for y'all, just in case if y'all ever want to go and check out the Kyoshi books. Yoon was an incredibly skilled earthbender with avatar level precision with earthbending. He has mastered so many different variations of earthbending from his time training under different masters incorporating their different bending forms. He is also able to emulate water bending and ice bending by manipulating earth bending into basically liquid form and freezing forms. And he can turn Earth's freezing form into almost as hard as diamonds. And he would mainly use that liquid form as a sense of mobility. Literally exactly like Katara. He has mastery over seismic sense and almost every form of combat. And he is also basically a trained assassin, with immunities to most drugs and poisons, and a brilliant combat strategist. And that's before this, mind you. And the only thing holding him back was his kind nature. Now there's no filter. This is where the story gets kind of, how you say? Because after eating basically pure evil and ingesting its essence, and then crawling out of the spirit world of pure desperation into the mortal realm, like what could possibly go wrong? I mean, we've seen pure evil take over someone's body before. What could possibly happen? But back to Yoon. As soon as he met out the force, he realized he doesn't have his status as a well-known avatar anymore. And he is immediately on the search of Kiyoshi because now that he ingested Father Glowworm, he borderline got a tracking device on where she's at, aka how to find Karuk's reincarnation. So he was at a tea shop and overheard some people talking, and he realized he only been gone for like a week. While over in the spirit world, it felt like forever. Yoon ordered water, and he don't have money to pay for it, and the owner told him to leave, and Yoon is like, I am Yoon, I was the avatar. So the owner said, prove it, bend this water. And that angered Yoon because he dedicated his life to these people.
But you can do this to me. You know how much I sacrificed?
Some of y'all probably thinking like, whatever. So what, he's angry. But the thing is, this is Yoon we're talking about. He is a naturally humble, good guy. It's not a common thing for us, the viewers, to see him that upset and to make that loud of an outburst. So when Yoon yelled this from the top of his lungs,
You know how much I sacrificed?
He truly meant it in that tea shop. But somebody there was kind enough to stand up and pay for his tab for the water, to try to defuse the situation. So how y'all think that went? Yoon said, "It's too late." And the ceramic pots that was around him, he turned them into blades and killed everybody in the tea shop, including the owner and the person that tried to defuse the situation.
People are not very fucking nice.
So that began his quest on killing everybody that lied to him about his avatarhood. Because now Yoon is able to kill with no filter. And he also knows exactly where Kiyoshi's at. Because Yoon knows that wherever Kiyoshi is at, he knows that Jinju and all the other people that betrayed him and lied about his avatarhood would be at. So as some time go on, Kiyoshi and Jinju are at a famous tea shop. But suddenly, in comes Yoon. But when Yoon walks in, he looks like he's unscathed. But the most eerie part about when Yoon came in, he had a subtle smile on his face. And when I mean a subtle smile, I mean a typical Yoon smile. AKA the award-winning smile that everybody grew to know and love. But when Kiyoshi looked at him, she could tell something is off, but she don't know what. Because usually when she sees Yoon smile, she usually thinks of this.
Street rat, I don't buy that.
A humble, diamond in the rough street kid who's extremely charismatic, charming, and with a truly kind heart always wanted peace, and tirelessly worked nonstop to achieve that said goal. But now she sees this instead. So now that Yoon is face to face with a person that betrayed him and left him for dead to get devoured by a spirit, and not just any spirit, Father Glowworm, even though Yoon looked at Jinshu as a father figure. So what do y'all think possibly happened next?
I have come home, Master.
This is no longer your home, and I am no longer your master.
It's not my fault! Not your fault? Who filled my head with dreams? Who drove me to train until my bones cracked?
Oh yeah, none of that happened in this situation, by the way. I just like that scene so much. But Yoon picked up an earth bullet, pressed it through Jinshu's chest, and walked off with a smile on his face still. Right in front of Kiyoshi, and he just walked off, killing Jinju. So basically, Yoon was like, screw all that monologuing. I know what he did. All I'm going to ask is, which t-shirt do you want? Large or extra large that I'm about to put you on? Oh yeah, before vanishing like a shinobi, he hit the alarm so everybody know what he did. Still with a smile on his face.
My perfect victory! That's right! I win!
But a year go by and there's still no sign of Yoon. Until he made his surprise appearance at the Fire Nation Palace, while the Fire Lord was welcoming Kiyoshi to basically have the festival for Avatar Seto. You gotta remember what I told you. You knew everything about the four nations, when each event is, and basically all the politics in regards to being an avatar. So he knows exactly which events that Avatar Kiyoshi has to be at, along with, him having an inner GPS of Father Glowworm. And of course, his surprise appearance wasn't really received well.
About and show niggas, certified boogeyman. I'm the one that up to score with them.
All jokes aside, Father Glowworm is the boogeyman of the Avatar world. And by that correlation, that technically makes Yoon the boogeyman. I just found that to be a very ironic parallel. But basically, Yoon shows up acting nonchalant to the Fire Lord and said, "Oh, my bad, I hope my invitation is still good, even though I died." And Avatar Kyoshi tried to pull him to the side to talk. But that wasn't happening because Yoon sunk the Fire Nation nobles underground and held them hostage. So to continue on with Yoon holding the Fire Nation nobles at hostage, basically the same way as this.
Apparently, I do.
And thus, at that point, that's when the situation became immediately dire for Kiyoshi and Rangi. So they chased after Yoon to fight him, but they had to come to an immediate halt. And that's because Yoon used the Fire Nation minister as a shield, aka a human shield, and be like, "Don't come any closer." Oh, and by the way, Kiyoshi, I want to thank you for defeating Jinju. And at first, Yoon was surprised that Kiyoshi would come after him, but Kiyoshi asked him, "What do you want from me?" And Yoon basically said, "Nothing. I don't want nothing from you. I want to make my masters, the people that lied to me for years, pay." And then immediately with his earthbending, he sunk into the ground to disappear. But a little later, Kiyoshi and Rangi find out that Yoon is the one that killed Liu Beifong, so they know for a fact he's gone. I need to speed through this real quick because there's a lot of stuff that Yoon do where he is the top tier crash out of Avatar. So after Kiyoshi and Rangi find out that Liu Beifong is dead, and they somehow manage to corner Yoon where his back is against the wall. And Kiyoshi believes that she got him because there's nothing that he could earthbend around him. But there's firebending portraits right behind him, and he bended the earth-based substances from the portraits to create small pellets, killing most of the guards around Kiyoshi, causing her and Rangi to step back so he could escape again to hunt down his masters. And a couple days later, after the Fire Nation Palace attack, it seemed like a typical normal day. That's until Kiyoshi walked in and saw Rangi's mother playing Paisho with Yoon, and Yoon was chilling there comfortably until he reformed the tiles into spikes pointed at her throat. His firebending teacher and Rangi's mother. Kiyoshi tried to use her earthbending to stop it, but it wasn't strong enough and it was too late. He already pierced her throat, killing her. So Yoon killed 2 teachers now. But Kiyoshi prioritized saving Rangi's mother over chasing after Yoon, even though Rangi's mother was able to fire off a strong enough fire blast that only managed to get his shoulder when she was trying to aim for his chest. But a month later go by, and guess what? Yoon pops back up again. In all honesty, at this point, he's just doing it for the love of the game.
Now everything that was in my way is gone, and everyone else still believes in me.
And then this is where the big fight happened, where I really can't spoil it because I suggest that y'all all check it out. Because he was doing absolutely crazy stuff like turning a stone floor into liquid without heat. It was crazy stuff. Eventually, he traps Kiyoshi and say, I never meant to hurt you because you was the only one that was absolutely entirely innocent in this whole entire affair. And Kiyoshi didn't give up to continue to fight Yoon. And Yoon was pulling out all the stops. He managed to liquefy the entire foundation underneath the mansion. You heard me right, liquefy with earthbending. It was basically Yoon versus Kiyoshi, Rangi, and a whole bunch of their guards. But Yoon was handling business. And bodies was dropping left and right, left and right. But then something happened and Yoon dodged an attack, digging a tunnel underneath the earth and popping up right behind Rangi and taking her out from behind. Basically, this is the most accurate picture that I can display of what really happened, without, trying to avoid copyright strikes. And Kiyoshi was in disbelief, and Yoon basically told her to her face, these are the consequences that happens when you try to stop me. And then Kiyoshi goes on to make him lower his guard by telling him, I apologize for stealing your avatar hood. And then she hit him with a Mortal Kombat fatality, literally freezing his heart and lungs, dead. Killing Yoon and stopping his tyranny. Cause bro was a problem. And so Kiyoshi goes on to bury Yoon and create his tombstone. And her and Rangi were the main ones that stayed the longest at the funeral. And that was the end of Yoon, the false avatar. But that's basically the story of Yoon, the false avatar. And I'm trying my hardest to not spoil. Because I suggest people definitely go get the books of, Kiyoshi and Yang Chen and so on. Because they are top tier. Especially while you're waiting for the next avatar or whatever to drop. But just so I can let people know how much of a problem Yoon is and why he's the most powerful earthbender. Because Toph is blind, Bumi lost his mind, Kuvira is a waste of time, Yoon and 4, clean sweep. And those of y'all that have already read the books, y'all already know how much of a problem he is. And not a problem with a B. I mean, without a B, because he's not about the BS. He is a problem. And he said the coldest line ever said by a single earthbender. And I know some of y'all are thinking of Toph when she said,
I am the greatest earthbender in the world.
But Yoon said this, and I quote, the earth is my element. I just let other people borrow it sometimes.
That's called motherfucking bars, nigga!
Hello, Zuko here.
And if you like that video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And also let me know what you think the next video should be based off of. Because like I say at the end of all my videos, I read every comment and I make sure that y'all are heard. Because I'm trying to get to 50K by the end of the year, I would love to have your support and hear more about your ideas. I hope you're able to apply these words in your everyday life. And Lily, thanks for watching. Oh, and a reminder, drink water.
Perfection and power are overrated. I think you are very wise to choose happiness and love